Virginia Delegate Steve Landes was in Verona today to take a ride on the Shenandoah Valley Railroad. The Shenandoah Valley Railroad operates on 20.2 miles of track that stretches from Stanton, Virginia to Pleasant Valley, Virginia. The railroad transports over 20 different commodities and is a joint venture among several private owners who told us off camera that they transported over 2,000 cars filled with goods last year. Delegate Landes said the Virginia Department of Public Transportation provides rail improvement enhancement funds to railroads like this one, and that he was there today to ride along and see how those funds were applied.
The purpose is to learn more about the Shenandoah Valley Railroad, which goes through the majority of the 25th House District from Augusta through Rockingham. And we have rail improvement enhancement funds that the Department of Rail and Public Transit provide to railroads like this. And they had invited me a year or so ago to take a ride and see what was going on and see the improvements that have been made with the rail enhancement fund. So that is my purpose today. They have improved rail sidings and obviously to the track, and that's what I hope to learn more about, just to see where those improvements have been made and what else they might be looking for in the future for keeping this line open and viable for the industries and businesses along the train route.
The delegate departed at 12:30 p.m. and rode the train all the way to Pleasant Valley and back to Verona. Now, I figured while I had the delegate's time and attention, I'd bring up the controversial Medicaid expansion law that was recently passed in Virginia, which Delegate Landes was opposed to up to the very end.
Well, we're looking at, and there's a joint committee on health care oversight and reform that I serve on, and I serve on with Senator Hanger and others. So we'll be making sure that the system works like it's supposed to. Medicaid expansion is going to add a tremendous burden on the state budget, so we're going to have to monitor that. Medicaid currently in our state budget, it accounts for about 22%. It is growing at 8%. Revenues in Virginia are only growing at 4 or 5%. So we're going to have to look at additional reforms to make the system better and to serve more people. With expansion, there will be a tax that's being placed on hospitals. So the consumer will have to, in part, pick up the burden of that. And the other problem with health care in general is, even with the Affordable Care Act, healthcare costs in some cases for individuals and small businesses are increasing 20%. So obviously it's still a big challenge. Even with expansion serving more people, there's still more costs associated with it.
I asked Delegate Landes what was some other issues that he plans to tackle and attempt to enact legislation on.
Well, one of the things we're looking at is we may have to make some tweaks to the legislation we had last session related to the teacher licensure and reforming that process. Looking at also the possibility of how we can make higher education more affordable and accountable there. And then we're also looking for additional avenues related to reform not only our Medicaid system, but how we can make health care more affordable for all Virginians, and that is still a challenge. So those are going to be some of the areas that I'm looking at. The other thing is, as with this railroad route, we want to make sure that Virginians have jobs and that there are job opportunities. So we're going to look for additional ways to bring more jobs not only in the Shenandoah Valley but across the state as well.
Delegate Landes, a Republican, is currently serving his 12th term in the Virginia House of Delegates. He represents parts of Albemarle, Augusta, and Rockingham counties. Landes is up for re-election in November of 2019, and just last week we learned that he will have a Democratic challenger. So far, local community activist and Saw Action Network member Jennifer Kitchen announced that she will seek the Democratic nomination for the seat. Last year, Landes fended off Democrat Angela Lynn, winning over 58% of the vote, to Lynn's nearly 42%. That was a significant improvement for Lynn from 2 years earlier, in 2015, when Lynn challenged Landes and only netted a little over 33% of the vote. Lynn has said publicly that she will not run again. However, with more than 16 months left into the election, it's difficult to rule anything out. In Verona, Theodore Whitelow for Breaking Through.